as we watch folks leaving the courthouse there, that is the former president's motorcade now, moving through New York City, we're going to bring in Judge Jeanine Pirro, co-host of The Five. She was inside the courtroom all day today. She witnessed all of the action firsthand, right there, not far away from former President Trump. Judge, I want to get your initial reaction to what we just learned. The judge telling the prosecution that they can just tell Michael Cohen to be quiet, but will not order a gag order on him.
Yeah. Well, first of all, let me tell you that it was a very drab courtroom on this very drab day with very drab testimony. And the only time there was real excitement was when the defense got up, the attorney for the president said, Your Honor, you know, Michael Cohen is still going out there and talking about the president, and we would request that at least there be some balance in terms of the gag order. The president or the judge gets up, and to my amazement, the judge directed the prosecution to tell Michael Cohen that the judge doesn't want him to be communicating and in any way going on any public forums. And I'm sitting in the courtroom and I'm saying to myself, wait a minute, you're the one in the robe. You're asking the prosecutor to ask a witness to not talk about the case when you're the judge and you have an obligation to gag him. You gagged the president, a former president of the United States. You robbed him of his ability to speak, and you're letting Michael Cohen, who was a convicted perjurer and referred to by a judge as a serial liar, to continue to talk, and you don't have the chutzpah, I'll use that instead of another word, to tell him to be quiet. I mean, it just blew my mind. But even more than that, seeing the president, today was my first day in the courtroom, seeing the president, the former president of the United States, sitting at a defendant's table in a tired courtroom with the shades down and beat up tiles and, you know, everything is messed up in it, and you're listening to drab testimony that is not even connecting him to the basis of what this crime is all about. And I said to myself, why am I sitting here? And then I said, why is he having to sit here? This whole thing is a farce. They are prolonging it so that they can keep him off the trail as long as they can. And you know what? I'm a prosecutor. It's in my DNA. And I understand what it takes to prove a case. But this is beyond anything I've seen in over 3 decades as a prosecutor, a judge, and a DA.
You know, Judge, we've made the argument with several other folks who have joined us that, yes, it's keeping Trump off of the campaign trail, but he's getting more exposure from being in court than he likely would if he were on the campaign trail. He's got wall-to-wall coverage on 3 news networks. He's on the front page of every newspaper and website across the country. So plenty of eyeballs are seeing him, and he's taking advantage of it, too, by campaigning in the hallway of the courthouse there.
Well, there's no question about it, but you know Donald Trump. John, you covered him when he was president. You know he's a man who is in the fight. He wants to be in the fight. He wants to go out there and work. He has the energy. And I was sitting there thinking, I mean, I've known him many, many years. How could he possibly sit here for, 4 hours just sitting, listening to testimony? That's not in his nature. So that in itself is punishment. But I agree with you. When he does go outside the courtroom, he talks about things that Americans are interested in, like what was going on the college campuses, what's going on in terms of Joe Biden and what he's doing. But at the same time, it's not who he is. The American people want to see him, and they should be entitled to see him. They shouldn't be prevented from seeing him. And that's what this is all about.
Judge, let me ask you about Michael Cohen, their star witness. He's on the way on Monday. This guy is a soundbite machine. I mean, he loves talking. I don't even know how a gag order would work, but he's on TikTok every single night, with all the emojis and things going off. So when he takes a stand on Monday, how does the defense get a hold of him? Because he's going to take advantage of that moment, and he's going to want to go on for days and days and days to get his point across. So how does the defense get a hold and control over Michael Cohen?
Well, first of all, you say as if the gag order wouldn't work. I mean, it would have to work, but the judge doesn't want to gag him. It's that simple. But at the same time, I think the most important thing is to let this jury see who Michael Cohen is. To let this jury see that, he has said X, Y, and Z and ABC on the same statement. So, it's just a question of letting him out-talk himself. But also, Michael Cohen can't say the same thing 5 different ways, and then we realize that he has such hatred for Donald Trump. He despises the man. And so that's all going to come out. And I looked at the jury. Look, they're a regular jury. They're ordinary people. I think it's an unusually young jury. But at the same time, I think that they have been, attentive enough to realize what's going on here. And I think they may be able to tell the difference between someone telling the truth, someone who isn't. I think with Stormy Daniels, with the prosecution case, everybody was like, she was great. Then you go to the prosecution case and you say, there's a screw loose up there. She talks to dead people. So, the court process is the one truth-finding process that we have. And I think it'll play out, hopefully, properly when it comes to Michael Cohen.
So, Judge, let's go back to where we began here with the no-gag order against Michael Cohen, but the judge admonishing the prosecution to keep their witness quiet. I mean, I talked to John Yoo about this a couple of minutes ago. This is a judge who makes rulings about things after they've already happened. He sees that Michael Cohen's been out there saying all this stuff about Trump, wearing a T-shirt that's got an image of Trump in a prison orange jumpsuit behind bars, and he says, oh yeah, maybe you should keep your client quiet. In the same way as on Tuesday, after Stormy Daniels lays out this salacious tale in court, he says, oh yeah, maybe the jury shouldn't have heard some of that. So why is this judge waiting until the horse is out of the barn to make these rulings?
John, think about it. Why? Because he doesn't mind these rulings coming out. Because he doesn't mind Michael Cohen going out there and trashing Donald Trump every night. Because he's not in control of what's going on, or maybe he actually is. And this is what he wants. This judge, and I have never seen this in my life, and this is my wheelhouse, to tell the prosecution, to tell the witness that, quote, I wrote it down, the quote, the judge doesn't want him communicating. The judge doesn't want him talking. And call him on behalf of me. Tell him I said it. Judge, if you have a backbone, you tell him. It's your courtroom. But he doesn't want to. I think the answer is clear. And that's the sad part of all of this.
All right, Judge Jeanine Pirro, we'll see if any of the jurors, if that resonates with them, especially the 2 lawyers that are on in that courtroom. Judge Jeanine Pirro, thank you for being in the courtroom for us today and for your insight. We appreciate it.